Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is Dennis Campbell. I'm the chair of the Charter Review Commission. Thank you for coming to our town hall meeting. The goal today is to talk a little bit about the process of how the Charter Review Commission works, but then also some of the items of the pieces of the charter we've already worked through and some amendments that we have drafted but are not sent anywhere yet. And then also some items that we're going to continue working on. We're about halfway through the charter at this point as a review, with the goal of us really keep going as fast as we can, so that way there is continued review and opportunity for input from the community. So we'll start off with the first slide. I want to talk a little bit about the charter review process. The Charter Review Commission reviews the charter, and then we vote as a commission on items to be sent to City Council. So we may say, hey, we think this should be reviewed. We draft up with legal counsel, draft up some items, and then we can vote as a Charter Review Commission to send it off to council. At that point, council reviews it, and they look at the recommendation and they can vote on it to pass it. It requires 5 votes of the 7 members of council for it to go to the ballot. Now, council can also choose to revise it or put forth a new revision for it, or send it back to the commission to continue to work on it. So at that point, council can pass it. If council passes it, it then would go to the general election. And at that point, the residents, the voters of Stow, would be the ones that vote on it and approve if it actually gets passed into the charter. So the commission is just a review agent to start the process, move items forward, and then continue to have some additional conversation and really bring it to the voters for the final decision. The Charter Review Commission has no official authority to change the charter at any point. We can only make recommendations, has to go through council to vote on, and then has to go to the general election. So what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about the items that we covered. Just briefly, these are the articles that we've already worked through. We worked through the name and boundary, municipal powers, the mayor, the council, wards, the Department of Finance, the Department of Public Service, Department of Public Safety, the Department of Law, amendments to the charter, and Charter Review Commission. So we started with Article 19 and 20 to review our role as the Charter Review Commission before we started moving, and we just started working in order through the line. So the next parts we're going to talk about is some of our recommendations for change. So the first piece we had, again, none of these have been voted on by the charter review. Nothing has been sent to council. It's just the process. So this is how it reads right now within the charter about the president of council, the acting mayor role. And then what we have suggested is to make a little bit of change so it's clearer on how an acting mayor is selected, or if there is absenteeism of the acting mayor or the mayor in those situations. So it just clearly defines it a little bit more, so that way there's a process that's simple to follow rather than the generic wording that was in there before is one of the items that we have for review. So what I would like to do as we go through these proposed pieces, and then we'll come back to some things at the end, is if there's any opinions on some of these from the community, or whether it looks good or think you should rethink it, but it's mostly cleaning up the process so it's easy for council to follow the process in case we had a vacancy in there. And any of my commission members are free to chime in at any time too. Awesome. All right, move on to the next one. The next one is talking about public notice. So the public notice item requires that we post in a certain amount of places when different boards, commissions, council is meeting. And so the council actually decides where those postings are going to be, where they have to post. So we have taken some recommendation as well on changing it a little bit from 6 public places. So currently the places that are listed is City Hall, the safety building, Firehouse, Firehouse 2 and 3. We have the library, and then where's the other one?
The Senior and Community Center.
Senior and Community Center. So the traffic flow to the safety center and also to the firehouses is non-existent, really. So the proposal was to change it to 3. Now, council, a minimum of 3. Council can continue to offer more spaces if they want to require it to be posted more places. That's up to them. They would also have to reduce down their own number if they wanted to. It would just set the minimum at 3. And then also requiring any of those things to be posted to social media platforms utilized by the city. Not itemizing out any specific social media platforms, but just saying they have to be posted out there so that way it's clear and we follow that process, because that's where the majority of folks are collecting their information now, and it's more readily available to the citizens. If you have comment, you can come on up, and then we have 3 minutes for any comments on it.
Hi, Angie Charles, 3447 Saratoga Boulevard. I guess I have a question about this item. Does social media include email?
Legally, no, it doesn't.
Because I would suggest adding email there, because I think the city has a large newsletter list of residents, and more people would see the information if it were emailed directly to them. If they, in addition to the social media platforms and the website and the 3 public places, if there's a public meeting that's going to be held, I think notification of that should go out by email as well. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. That's something we can definitely, I've made a note of, and we'll discuss at our next meeting. That's good feedback, so that way we can look at some potential options or challenges to that as well. So thank you. Any other comment on this? All right. Next section is talking about the Charter Review Commission, the process of how we send items to be reviewed, but then also the timeline. So looking at the current timeline for how the commission is selected, it gives there's some distance on how it's selected or when it needs to be convened, which could slow down the process to make sure that we want to make sure there's enough time, that the commission has enough time to review everything, because it's only realistically right now about a 7-month process that we have in front of us to get stuff done, completed off to council at the longest. So the idea is to put a mandate of when the meeting, so the last meeting in January of the year, which Charter Review Commission shall convene. Council selects it, or the mayor appoints, council selects or approves the appointments, and then it forces the Charter Review Commission to meet by the end of January, because otherwise right now it could be pushed off longer and longer and longer. The other piece is right now it says that the Charter Review has to have everything done by the beginning of August 1. By August 1 it has to be sent off to council. From what we've been told and shared with from the Summit County Board of Elections, that is not enough time for council to get through all the process they need to without calling a variety of emergency meetings to have those, and then get it off to the Summit County Board of Elections to actually get it printed and put on the ballot in a timely manner. So this forces the Charter Review Commission to move up their timeline so everything is done by July 1st, so that way there's plenty of time for council to review, and then we also don't conflict with getting things on the ballot per the charter as it's required right now. Any thoughts? Any comments? All right. Some other items that we're discussing right now, we have not written up anything. We'll actually be discussing a couple of these tomorrow at our commission meeting. So encourage any thoughts on that as well. To feel free to attend any of our commission meetings. We've asked for the city to post it on social media on a regular basis as well, so that way it's out there and it's aware. We're meeting almost weekly now, so that way we can continue to move through the charter, and if anything goes to council and gets sent back, that we have time to review it. But Article 6, Department of Finance, currently the charter does not provide for an acting finance director in the event of incapacity of the finance director. So if someone is out on medical leave or those sort of situations, there's not a tool right now to appoint an acting finance director, which can cause major challenges within the city structure. And so that's one of the items we're removing to work on that omission piece. Department of Law also does not apply for or have an opportunity for an acting law director. So again, same thing of incapacity or issues, we need to be able to address that so that way things aren't stopped. The city government doesn't stop in that situation. So we're going to continue to review and put forth. It'll be very similar language. What we've requested is the way it's listed for incapacity of the mayor in that sort of situation. So that way, and then following the same process of if there is a vacancy of those positions too, who it falls to next would also, it's already detailed in there, so we would just add it so that way that person becomes the acting temporarily in that process. And then wards. We have spent some time chatting about wards, and we are going to continue discussing recommending that council convene a special commission on wards and redistricting in future years. The amount of work that would take to just have a longer discussion on how many wards we have compared to the other cities in the county, also neighboring counties, also by the state guidelines of wards, if we didn't have items listed in our charter, we don't think that we as a commission have enough time to do the proper public hearings, to do the proper process, the research. So there's a chance that we recommend to council to convene a special commission, because council can call a charter review commission at any time. So there's a chance we recommend that so they can form that. Just have a discussion on it and figure out if it is the right thing to change that, because those have not been revised. The amount of wards we have not has been revised since the implementation of the charter, which was in November 4th, 1958. So we're having continued discussions, but we haven't voted on doing any of that yet.
The question we're asking you, is right now we're in we have 4 wards. And what we're trying to dissolve and trying to figure out is, do we need more wards since Stow is growing? Is that going to do any good to any of you? Is it going to do any good to the rest of Stow and everything? So we need your input. As Denny said, when we go through these discussions and everything, we want to base it on what the community wants, not necessarily what we want. So we would be very appreciative if you think we should go to more wards or less wards, and how do we do that? I mean, where do we break the wards down? It's a very complicated situation, and we're trying to address it as best as we can, but we need your help.
Yeah, as Denny said, that's why we're looking at potentially asking council to spend a little bit more time on it, or to convene a special commission to review it. As well as if you have opinions on it, feel free to come to the commission meetings as well and express those, so that way it's on the record as we continue to have more discussions on what we do moving forward. Future articles to be covered by the Charter Review Commission: Article 10, Planning Commission and Zoning Procedure, and Board of Zoning and Building Appeals. That's tomorrow night. So if you want to have a good time and come talk about the zoning code within the charter, there's a whole separate section of the code. It's just how we govern the code piece, not actually the code. The code is done through the council, but that piece, feel free to have a conversation on that. You can come to that tomorrow. It should be a riveting meeting. I love it. So then we'll be diving into Civil Service Commission, Parks and Rec Board, Cemetery Board, Finances, the nomination election, initiative referendum and recall, franchise, general provisions, and then budgeting procedures. So, like I said, we're about halfway through, and so we'll continue to have more conversations. As we work through these, we're going to call more town hall meetings and more opportunities to chat and learn and hear from our community, because we as a commission all believe that we need to hear from folks. We can't just operate in a vacuum. And so that's why we have this meeting tonight. And our goal is, once we have items, like we presented items tonight and we review them, if we think they're ready to send off, we'll send those off to council instead of waiting for a batch of a whole bunch of them to council at one time. We're going to send them ahead of time. So that way we're not rushing to get through items. And we're not holding anything back and trying to force a hand or anything like that. So our goal is to really just be transparent in the process and share that information out as much as possible. So on that, I want to just give open opportunity for anyone, if they have any other comments on any sections of the charter that they think need to be reviewed or items specifically. If you aren't sure of those items right now, you're just here to learn a little bit, that's fantastic too. And we would encourage you to take a look at the charter and then come to the commission meeting and give us feedback, give us items to work on, because that's really important for us. We're here in a very short time period to serve. We're a limited commission. We actually have a timetable that we have to get things done in. So we love input. And like I said, we're meeting almost weekly now.
If you have any questions, if you have any questions or complaints, whatever, feel free to bring them to us, and we'll be able to decide if that's something that has to go straight to council, that has to go to the mayor, or we can institute something that goes to council. So please, speak up.
Does anyone have any comments on the charter or any pieces they think we should be looking closely at? And I would open it up to any part of the charter if there's something you think we need to be really taking a close look at. Just so that way, as we continue working, we're prepared with a little bit more information as we dive into it. Yeah, go ahead.
And real quickly too, because I know some people are not big on public speaking. I have my business cards over here. If you have a suggestion that you would like to make but don't want to make it in a public setting, if you email it to me, I have a list that I've received emails from people in the public that I've been bringing to the meetings when we're talking about that section. So just so you know, there's another way. If you do have something very strong you want to say, but you might not be a public speaker, do not hesitate. We still want to hear your voice, even if it's not your voice at a public meeting. And also, this presentation will be up on the charter review section of the city website after tonight. So I know when we got down here, it was a little difficult to read some of those changes on those proposals, which we can go back and read through if you want, and I can give you a legal analysis on them if you have individual questions. But those will also be on the website to get a better chance of reading those as well in the coming weeks. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
On that topic of those items those items we're reviewing constantly, we keep Drew and the law department busy with research on, because before we even suggest any changes, we want to know the history of why it was changed, what a portion was changed, what the wording was previously, what has happened in previous years, if it was proposed to council in one way, because it doesn't make sense to continually resend the same item over and over and over again if it doesn't tangibly change the charter. So we've kept them busy with a lot of research, which has helped us greatly to stay ahead on everything moving forward. So if there's no other comment, like I said, make sure you email Drew. He's got his business cards. We review all those items that come through. Just want to thank you all for being here, unless any of my other commission members have anything else to say. All right.